I'm Mixer Giant and I'm going to be saying how they can celebrate Disney's 100th anniversary. Disney doesn't have to do all of this for their 100th anniversary, but they could do some of this stuff in real life. And for larger stuff, they can just start doing it on their other anniversaries, or them doing it later in the first year of their 100th anniversary. Disney was the first company to do animation. Now that they're celebrating their 100th anniversary, it means animation is fully ingrained itself into our pop culture and actual culture. A whole century of animation, that's a big deal for animation. And Disney has done some terrible things and has done some pretty stupid decisions, but right now, we're focusing on the good parts of it. And me having another video saying the bad things about Disney coming up, so stay tuned for that. So I'm going to be saying how they can celebrate this momentous occasion. They should put some new kinds of products for sale in their gift shop at Disneylands all over the world and Disney Worlds too. Do some different themes for the rides and games there. And put things on sale so the soft pretzels only cost $1. And some of the other products at Disneyland being cheaper too. Because it already costs a lot $7 for a soft pretzel. And everybody knows less prices, more customers. Plus, they should also be doing commercials and showing all of their Disney movies, including the sequels, and the TV shows, from all generations, on the channels they own. And put some rare memorabilia and iconic collectibles out and on sale, online and at online auctions. Then for the movies they could do, they should do some new fairy tale movies, is like Little Red Riding Hood. And the way you would do that story is by making Little Red Riding Hood a woman and by fleshing out her loving relationship with her grandmother more. Make the big bad wolf the same big bad wolf from the other stories, so you can also have them in it. And make it that there's some stories going on with the other characters too. And you should also do the storyline of Rumpelstiltskin, with him turning everything into gold, not just gold, and it being with whatever he touches. You can also make him feel like someone who helped a woman out and wants to be repaid for it, and do more time to show the woman caring about her child and her feeling bad her needing to give him up. So you show the emotion of someone feeling bad about having to lose their child because of her honoring her word. And for it to be better when you feel happy with her, and feel like her getting a victory even though her honoring her word in the end. When she finds out what Rumpelstiltskin's name is, and doesn't have to give up her child to him. So a mother can keep her child and her still honoring her word. Then for the 13 princesses, it's about strange things happening at night with 13 princesses when they're locked in a room at night. It came from the same guy who did some of the most iconic fairy tales, which some of the most iconic Disney movies came from. And one of the reasons why Wreck-It Ralph is so successful is because of the Disney princesses in it. You can use the princesses that are already a part of Disney as the 13 princesses in the story, and the Disney princess trying to find out what's going on during the night. It would be nice a Disney movie showing how they're all different from each other. The Disney princess and princesses, and it would be nice seeing them interact with each other. And with it turning out to be the Disney supervillains going against them. And the Disney princesses and princes need to go against the supervillains in order to stop them. Hades is one of Disney's most iconic villains, so he should be a part of it. And one of the Disney villains could actually use him to bring the other Disney villains back to life, so that explains how they can be in this movie after they died at the end of their movies. So there being no continuity errors or plot holes in this movie. With Hercules and his girlfriend, you would see someone who is a god, but is actually more human than the other princes. So you can actually see different parts as in how it affects someone and how they see it as is. With his girlfriend, you would have someone who is sympathetic to Diago because of her being a villain, but her becoming a good person in the end too. Jafar is another one of Disney's most iconic villains, so he should also be in it. He is extremely powerful because of him being a genie, and he was a good villain even before he became a genie. And him and Hades actually already did work together before, so if they need anyone and to have a good alliance in this movie, or to help the other villains have a good alliance in this movie, that's a good idea of how they can do it, and a good way of how they can do it. Aladdin would be adventurous and fun-loving, contracting with the other Disney princes, contract like the one from the Little Mermaid, and who is actually well all thought out and reasonable. Jasmine would be uneasy and more likely to question things, contracting with Laura and her being fun-loving and wanting to jump into things head first, without thinking about it first. And if you have the other characters in there, then you would show how Disney is not stereotypical with their characters. Like Diago used to being a villain, but now him being a good guy. It's showing people can change and become good people. And because Robin Williams, the guy who voiced over Genie, died, and because he was one of Disney's most iconic characters, and because of Robin Williams being one of the best voice actors, you would need to replace Genie with Eden. And here's saying the real world reason for why they didn't use Genie in the movie. To honor Robin Williams and Genie, and also because as Genie was already Mata in the original Aladdin movie. And Eden is a character from the Aladdin animated series, so you would actually be making everything continuity and be honoring the fans of that so too. And Eden is Genie's girlfriend, so she would be the perfect one to do it. And she's already known for being crazier than Genie, so it would be good to see that. Plus, Iago and Aku could relate to the other Disney animal partners, with Iago being able to talk unlike the other Disney animal partners, and Aku not being able to talk like the other Disney animal partners. And Jasmine's Baba would relate to the other Disney Babas because of them both being kings. And Aladdin's Baba would show, there being different between Disney Babas, but them having something in common with them caring about their kids and families. Which would look particularly good with King Poseidon is from The Little Mermaid. Plus, Ariel has a daughter. There's not a lot of Disney princesses that have kids. It would be good if you showed her being a mother to her kid to show how she's different from the other Disney princesses. With her being wiser than the other Disney princesses and her being more responsible than them. And her more understanding of what the Disney parents go through. And you showing how much she cares about her daughter in this. Plus, the main villain in the sequel was one of the best Disney villain sequel villains, so it'd be good if she came back with the original villain. Plus, The Little Mermaid 2 Return to the Sea is one of the best Disney sequels. Heck, it's even better than the original movie. For starters, we all relate to being special more than being normal, so we agree with Audie more than Ariel. And the prince is much better in this one, so it really shows Ariel made the right choice. Plus, not only is this the perfect example of how to do the best possible sequel, it being the ultimate happy ending, which is the perfect thing for Disney. And Elsa has magical powers herself, which makes it good in being able to defend herself. And it is good Laura being her emotional what because of it giving her something to do and shows why she's good herself. Plus, Frozen is good because of it having a sibling relationship that does not involve jealousy. That has a good way to do realistic ice and snow and 3D animation in a good way. And Olaf did bring back the comedic cartoon sidekick in cartoons. Plus, it is kind of iconic for doing the usual Disney formula but changing it a little bit. The Disney princesses could bring up how the parents were wrong to do that to their daughters by separating them. But you could do in the story it showing how much they care about their parents because of them still loving their parents afterwards. Then for another original movie you can do the story of the Pied Piper. With him leading the kids away, and the reason why we never saw them again is because of them doing their own town. But then the parents come looking for them and the Pied Piper tries to stop them, but the kids save the day. Proving no matter what age you are, you can be a hero. Then also you should do some of the projects that Disney completely threw away. Because these are good ideas that deserve a second chance. For Mort, it's about the physical embodiment of Death's apprentice. A teenage kid who recently died called Mort. Death would call him Morty and Death's name would be Marvin. Death would mess with Morty, but he would still care about Morty. While Morty would think of Death as his best friend and mentor. Dad's personality would be fun-loving and him really loving killing people, while Morty would actually feel bad about killing people and feel uneasy about it and always being nervous and unsure of it. Morty would do the mistake of letting his best friend, a girl he liked when he was alive's brother, stay alive. And because of it, the whole world would end. Then the movie would end off with Morty feeling bad he can't be with his girlfriend. But then in the second movie, his girlfriend would die, so it being okay with them being together, but then Death would die and Morty would need to become the new physical embodiment of Death. Then in the third movie, Morty would be married to his girlfriend now, and they would have a daughter now. And in this movie, Morty would be training his daughter to be his apprentice. Then for Tamlin, it's about a princess trying to save her prince from the queen of the fairies. It'd be so nice the princess coming to the prince's rescue, and with them already being in love from the start, it would make it feel more original and more unique from the other Disney movies. Plus, you can make it that they were already best friends as kids who fell in love with each other, and with them being a perfect mix of real world modern teenagers and Disney fairy tale princesses and princes. Then Elves is about a group of elves who take a human man back to their kingdom because they think he's their king. You can make it that he makes it obvious that he is not their king, and he even helps them stop a threat. And he thinks because they're elves in their world of wonder, he doesn't deserve to be their king. And while the elves would find out that he's not their king, they would still want him to be their king because of him being human, because of his understanding of life and him caring so much about things. Then for Gigantic, it is based on Jack and the Beanstalk, one of the most iconic fairy tales, and it doesn't have a definitive version until now. It would start off with Jack, a farm boy who wants to get out of his town because of everyone already staying there their whole lives, and him and his family suffering because of them being poor, but him deeply caring about his family, and hating them needing to sell their family cow that he cares about so much. Then when someone trades it for some magic beans it does the beanstalk, he goes up there hoping to find something good for his family. But then when he finds the giant's kingdom of the clouds in there, the princess, who is a giant 10-year-old girl, captures him. This would show the princess being similar to a 10-year-old girl in her life, with her catching something she thinks is cool and her trying to make a pet out of it. She would keep Jack secret in her room and talk to him about problems she can't tell anyone else. And they would become best friends this way. And to make it different from the other Disney princess movies and to go with the theme of it being Jack and the Beanstalk, a different fairy tale than Disney usually does for its animated movies, you would make it that the princess is happy and proud to one day become the ruler of her kingdom. And her parents themselves are training her just to make sure her being good enough for it because they just don't want you to get hurt. And the main villain would be the princess's father's cousin, trying to get power from the magic in the kingdom, from the gods of the kingdom in the clouds. And to help that Disney theory that all of the Disney characters exist in the same dimension, you can just make it that their other cousin is really the giant in a brief throwaway line. And that the princess's father's cousin did this so he would help the kingdom by giving the power to everyone who deserves it, in his eyes, everyone in the kingdom. Then the princess would stop her uncle, her father's cousin, by stopping how he would get the magic from the gods who created the kingdom in the clouds, which would cause an explosion to defeat her uncle. But in the end, it would be because of Jack why he was defeated in the end, in the same way it happened in the original Jack and the Beanstalk fairy tale. Because the princess's parents would find out about Jack, and they would want the princess to put him back where he was. But Jack would want to stay because the princess is his best friend now, and him liking the kingdom he got stuck in. But their parents would want you to put Jack back so he can be free, and because his parents must be worried sick about him. Then her uncle would find out about this by overhearing them talking about it. He would try to go down the beanstalk, But then Jack would get down there first and cut the beanstalk down with an axe, and then the princess's uncle would fall out of the sky. But he would survive it. And because of the princess still caring about her uncle, and because of him always being a good cousin to her parents, they decided to just put him in the dungeon until him doing his time afterwards. Then, after the princess's parents would find out that Jack's parents and family are poor, they would give them their harp and their golden goose, since they did care about their golden goose, but they did want it to be free. And while they loved playing the harp, they always hated it because it made them fall asleep in the end. So because of Jack saving their lives, them doing this is a big thank you to him, and also for them being able to visit the Golden Goose, and for them being able to occasionally play the Golden Harp. Then for the second movie, it would involve Jack going into their world and becoming a giant himself when him and the princess are teenagers. And their uncle redeeming himself, so him not needing to stay in the dungeon anymore by him helping reverse the spell he did earlier. Because of the spell he did earlier busted the magic that the gods used to create the kingdom in the clouds, and because of it the kingdom of the clouds was falling apart. Then in the last movie it would show Jack and the princess being married as grown-ups and them having a daughter together. Then them needing to stop the princess's cousin, her uncle's son, because her cousin hates that his father was stuck in a dungeon all these years and him thinking what he did was a good thing. So her cousin would try to destroy the kingdom, and his father would die saving his niece, the princess, but then her cousin would find out what he was doing was wrong because of his Baba dying because of it. So he would sacrifice himself to stop up the spell he was doing from destroying the kingdom. And it being a happy ending because of them choosing to honor their memories by living their lives to the fullest, and to make sure them having a good life together as a family. Then for movies you can do in Pixar, it would be nice if you did a third An Incredibles movie, and a 3-season cartoon show that picks up after the second movie. Because now that superheroes aren't illegal in the Incredibles universe, you can do all of their villains coming together to try to stop the superheroes. Like, you could use the original planned villain for the original plans of the Incredibles movie, who was Elastigirl's ex-boyfriend in college, bringing together the other villains of the Incredibles, and you can make it that the original villain is the father of Summer's best friend, to have more emotional stakes and for him to be more of a personal villain to them. And you should also do them aging in real time in the show, so they would be older in the last movie. And because of the Pixar theory that all of them takes place in the same universe, you can do a whole movie proving that, and the Disney theory that all the Disney movies take place in the same universe, by confirming the theory that each movie takes place in a different point in time of a decade. And for the movies about things like elemental and cars, you can make it the Monster Inc. doors are portals to these specific dimensions so there can be monsters to these dimensions of things. Because they have monsters specifically for that. You can even use it to explain how these other guys are in the movie, the other characters from Pixar movies, and you using it to explain how them all coming together to fight against all of their villains. And that the soul guy that helped the jazz guy in the Soul movie was reincarnated into Wiley. And that there are still superheroes around, you just haven't seen them. And that the reason we haven't seen them is because they've been retired, because there haven't been a lot of supervillains lately. But now them getting back into the game and them helping the other Pixar characters fight against the villains that are working together. You should also do a 3-season show and another 2 sequels to Zootopia of them trying to bring down the big guy's crime ring, and all of his ammo-themed crimes being stopped by the cops of the city. For the sequel to Inside Out, you should do Riley as a teenager and her needing to go through puberty. And for the third movie in a trilogy, you should do her being a grown-up and her going into a coma, and the emotions need to work together to get her out of it because of her having a daughter now. Then you can also use the original plans for Inside Out by using the scrapped emotions from the original movie. And for why we didn't see them in the original movie, just say that they're temporary emotions, emotions that you're not supposed to have forever, and that you need to get rid of at a certain point in time. But you have them for a time because everyone goes through these specific emotions like depression or jealousy. And these good emotions like hope and love are supposed to help the other permanent emotions fight against them, with all of them fighting for control. And for Elemental, for the two movies that come after the original one, you should do it showing Wade and Amber's lives as grown-ups, with them getting married and them having kids. And with Wade and Amber's parents dying of AIDS and them needing to say goodbye to them. Then in the last movie, it's showing that them dying of AIDS soon and them needing to say goodbye and them coming to terms with it. And with them needing to honor that the time is coming to an end. You can make the kids an air girl and a plant guy so they can have all the elements from the movie in their family. And it making sense since Wade is made out of water and Ember is made out of fire. And I hate that they're making a Lilo and Stitch movie in live action. Because this is not one of the things that work in live action. But if you're going to do it in live action, you should make it good. So at least us getting something good out of it. So you making that Lilo's parents were astronauts who had to take them with her on one of their trips, and then they find Jumbo's experiments in space. And Lilo managed to change the aliens good by caring about them, showing the innocence of a child is good, no matter who it is. And the Book of Life did Coco before Coco. It was made by Fox, but now Disney owns Fox. They're both all about family, and they both have a main character who just loves music. And they both have something to do with Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, a Mexican holiday, and they both have something to do with a dead family member. And it would be perfect if they crossed over with Encanto, which is all about magic and a family that's filled with powers, so just think what would happen if they interacted with each other and crossed over with each other. And Mickey is Disney's mascot, but it's been a while since Disney did anything with Mickey. Or make him look good and make him look something other than the mascot of a heartless evil corporation. So you should do a movie where the original Disney cartoon characters fight against their villains. Like Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy as Super Goof fighting against the Phantom Blood and the Beagle Boys and Pete. And for the movie based on the original Disney cartoon characters like Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy, they would need to be animated in a live-action cartoon similar to how it was in the Looney Tunes Space Jam sequel, while everyone else from the usual cartoon shows would be in the usual 2D animation from Walt Disney Studios' original last sequel movie days of the original movies, and for everyone else who originally debuted in 3D animation, they would be in 3D animation. The Phantom Blood was actually modeled after Disney's creator Walt Disney, so you can use him as a commentary in the movie to show where Disney has been going for these past years, and also do the joke about how good Disney used to be, and Disney being an evil company. Then you can also do the joke of the theory that the reason why Walt Disney lived for so long in real life is because he cryogenically froze himself, by doing in the movie that the Phantom Blood actually lived thousands of years ago and actually knew Goofy, Donald, and Mickey's ancestors, and that they were going to do a witch trial on Magico the Spell, but Mickey, Goofy, and Donald's ancestors convinced him not to, and that they were already rich back then. But then Magica came back and destroyed his village and killed his family. So he used ancient science at the time in order to invent a gauntlet that would let him absorb Magica's magic. He tried to kill her, but Mickey, Donald, and Goofy's ancestors wouldn't let him, which led up to him falling into a tub of science, magic, ink, and paint. They would think he died, but he survived and became an ink monster. Then him starting up his company over the years and him using it to fund foul and do evil things. You can even do him being a business rival to Scrooge McDuck and Darkwing Duck's secret identity, and him becoming a villain to Super Goof and Darkwing Duck in the modern day as a Phantom Blot, and to Mickey and Scrooge McDuck. And used to combine all versions of him into one, and used to combine all versions of him into one. Like make him look like how he did in the House of Mouse, but with the gauntlet from the DuckTales reboot. And you should also make it that when he gets powered up from the magic he absorbs in the gauntlet, he gets rainbow colored and glows like a rainbow, and is known as the Rainbow Phantom. And him being able to use his colors by using what they mean, like red is for fire and blue is for water. You should also give him some ink gadgets with him being able to squirt ink at people. His company could even go against Disney's company so there would be no confusion between the two companies and if they're similar to each other. Since this movie is going to be about the original Disney characters from the Squatch and Stretch cartoons, it's important that you use villains from there and villains similar to that. Their own personal villains, the original Disney cartoon villains, to show where Disney started and to show Disney's roots. You can also use the superhero identities of Donald Duck's nephews and just say that they got from a lab accident from one of Darkwing Duck's villains like Negadoc, who is also going to be one of the main villains of the movie, and from an evil plan of the Beagle Boys who they already fight against. And it would be nice you showing kids being able to be heroes too, and it also is good because it going well with Darkwing Duck and Supergoof. Plus, it would be a good way to give Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Donald Duck's nephews, a more bigger part to play in the role of the movie. Plus, this would be much better for them being able to help in the movie and them being able to relate to Maxie, Goofy's son, about being in the same family as an iconic Disney character. And Goofy could become Super Goof because of him eating some radioactive peanuts irradiated by a meteor, and him becoming a superhero is not bad guys. This already existing in Disney, and it actually already being there for a while. So it would be a good way to show all the parts of Disney and to show all the more goofy parts of Disney. And because of both Gosselin and Maxie being the sons of superheroes who are Disney cartoon characters, that's how they knew each other as kids when their barbers used to work together as superheroes. You can also make it that him knowing Darkwing Duck because of him being Super Goof, because of them both being superheroes and them both being Disney cartoon characters who are superheroes, instead of them being superheroes from a comic book company that Disney owns, like Marvel. This would be good because of them being Disney's mascots with Mickey Mouse, and to show how good Disney used to be with the cartoon characters, and before them becoming an evil company. You can also make it that you retired from being Super Goof with Darkwing Duck years ago, and that's why we haven't seen him lately. Reflecting in real life how it's been years since you've seen Super Goof in any other forms of media in Disney. But after Goofy sees Darkwing Duck come out of retirement to stop Negaduck, Goofy would come out of retirement and become Super Goof again to help his son Maxie, who's been kidnapped by the Phantom Blot. You should also make it that Maxie knows as Baba is Super Goof, and so does Goofy's other friends like Mickey and Donald, and his girlfriend Clarabelle Cow. And that's not the only reason why Maxie thinks his Baba is cool, but it's one of the main reasons of why he thinks his Baba Goofy is cool. You should also use the House of Mouse for where these Disney characters hang out at, and where they get the information for where the Phantom Blot is. Because it would make sense for the purposes of this movie, and it would be a good callback to it. This explains how they all know each other. It makes sense since they're all so similar to each other. We get to see how they're already friends in the movie, and we also get to see them fleshing out the relationships between the original Disney cartoon characters more. You would make it that the reason why Negaduck, the Beagle Boys, and Pete is working with the Phantom Blot is because of them being sick and tired, everyone focusing on the Disney movie villains instead of them. And that now no one even remembers them. And they used to be the main Disney villains, now them being underrated Disney villains. And no one even knows who they are anymore. So them working together with the Phantom Blot to get revenge on Disney by destroying the company. And Mickey, Donald, and Goofy would have to stop them because that would destroy all the other cartoons, but the bad guys wouldn't care since they're already forgotten because they're wanting the revenge so badly. Plus, we also haven't seen the relationship between Carabelle Cow and Maxie, so that would actually be a good thing for this movie to do specifically. And you should also put more focus on Clarabelle Cow's and Goofy's relationship, since they are Disney's third best couple. And that Gosselin, Darkwing Duck Starcher, and Maxie got kidnapped by the Phantom Blot and the Beagle Boys and Pete and Negadoc. Because Darkwing Duck and Super Goof used to fight against them back in the day. We'd see the usual Disney romances and quick glimpses of all the good things Mickey, Donald, and Goofy did in other points in time. And you can also make it that Drake Mallet and Scrooge McDuck are friends because of them both being rich ducks. Then he finds out that Drake Mallet is Darkwing Duck because of Darkwing Duck helping Scrooge McDuck stop the Beagle Boys from stealing both of their money. And that's how Scrooge McDuck and Donald Duck's nephews Huey, Dewey, and Louie and their friend who's a girl knows Gosselin, Darkwing Duck's starter. And that Super Goof and Darkwing Duck help Mickey Mouse and the other iconic Disney cartoon characters stop these villains that you're going to use in the movie before in the past back when they were superheroes before they retired. You should also mention it in the movie that Maxie is one of the only Disney characters that ages in real time, while the other ones stay the same age forever, to be a little bit meta about it. And that more people will enjoy that about the Disney characters, and these Disney characters specifically. And that Pete does care about his kids, and that he does want a good life for them, to get rid of some of those terrible Disney theories online. And to honor some of the fans from the Goof Troop show. And the reason why Pete would be doing this is because the Phantom Blot would threaten to use his company to make Pete's and his family's life terrible. At first, Pete wouldn't believe him, but then the Phantom Blot would do it to a casual rich guy, then he would do it to a bunch of other rich guys right in front of Pete, then he would show Pete a bunch of examples of when it did happen without anyone knowing, then he would also do it to a friend of Pete's. You would need to do this because Pete is already the main villain of Disney and he's already an enemy to Mickey. So he still is Disney's most iconic villain and he's not forgotten, so you need to do this to have Disney's most iconic villain in there and for him to be a part of this. You need to make it obvious that Pete doesn't want to do this because him and his family will stop existing, but him not liking the alternative either. And him also hating it because of the Phantom Blot and the other villains treating him terribly. You can also use the modern trend of Disney twist villains, but with the original way of Disney villains, by making it obvious that it is Pete because of Pete being nice, but then it turning out to be Pete and the other villains as the main villains. But then they would convince Pete to go against the Phantom Blot by using his family, and that would be how Mickey, Donald, and Goofy would be able to defeat the Phantom Blot. And you'd also have to make it that a big part of the movie is him trying to kill Magica a spell, and getting revenge on Mickey, Donald, and Goofy because of him also blaming their ancestors for not letting him kill her years ago, and them paying for it. Then they would use Magica a spell to cure the Phantom Blot of being an ink monster, but Mickey, Donald, and Goofy would also stop him from doing that and use Magica a spell to bring his family back to life, but him still paying for his crimes, the Phantom Blot. And him becoming a good person, not just because he was willing to pay for his crimes, but also because of them bringing back his family. And it would also be good if you showed some references to the other Disney afternoon shows, because of the Disney cartoon shows being better than the Disney movies, the original ones. Like the Goof Troop song would be sung by that singer from a Goofy movie. The band at the House of Mouse would sing the House of Mouse song. We'd see the Tailspin song from when they used Tailspin to get around the world, sing Disney characters to see where the Phantom Blot is. And those characters would be Gargoyles and the other Disney afternoon shows theme songs. Disney movies always have songs in them, but this time the songs would actually be good. And you honoring a big chunk of Disney. And it would make a lot more sense too. Plus, you can also use it to get people quickly caught up on these Disney characters, so even if you're a casual viewer, it'll make them feel like they already know a bunch about Disney. You would also need Max's girlfriend as a big part of the movie, and it being one of the main parts of the movie, their romance together. Especially with him hanging out with her and him introducing it to not only his usual friends but also his other friends in this movie, and Goofy giving his son some relationship advice, and her getting kidnapped with Maxie. You should also make it that the girl Goofy ended up with at the end of an extremely goofy movie is Maxie's mother in this movie, but after she died in the modern day, Goofy being with Clarabelle Cow and Maxie being okay with them being together. And the last part of the movie would be Maxie and his girlfriend having a big date at the House of Mouse, them telling each other that they love each other, and them ending it with a big kiss, that being the final scene of the movie.